Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I just found out about this, so I didn't know I was doing this, so sorry I'm a little late. Okay, so I guess we're going to do 20 minutes of questions and answers, so fire away.
What was it like to work with Sammo Hung?
It was fun. I was really impressed with Sammo because he was so heavy and he could move so fluidly and could do all these acrobatic moves. And also I felt that he was like a creative genius, that his choreography for martial arts was above and beyond anything that I've seen prior to what I was doing.
What are the differences in working for film companies in China as opposed to working in the States?
There's a big difference. You're not so much on a schedule. A lot of times when you're doing a movie in Hong Kong, like for example, my first movie took 8.5 months. And in the States, you're like on a 5 to 6 week period, so there's a big difference there. One reason is that you don't get a script in Hong Kong. You never know what you're doing. You'll go there and then they'll say, okay, say these lines right before you go on film. And sometimes the screenwriter will be standing there not filming, saying, oh, well, we don't know what the next scene is. The writer isn't here, so they write it as you go along. Also, you could tell that the stunts are much different, you know, if you watch it, and it's because they could take 1 month. Like the movie I did, Yes, Madam, the whole ending scene took 1 month to shoot. And they'll do take after take. It's like not unlikely to do 60 takes for one move because they want like 10 perfect takes, where in America, you'll do one take that's good, and they'll say, good, we got it, move along. So that's like some of the differences. Believe me, there's like tons and tons and tons.
Which do you prefer?
Which I prefer? Well, I prefer the Hong Kong movies for the action because I think the action is much better. But as far as safety goes and, you know, speed and the script, you know, I prefer the American movies. So I like both. It's good to do American movies and then once in a while do something like that. Plus, when I was doing Hong Kong movies, nobody spoke English. And I never knew what the movies were about. They just say, here, say this here, you know. And it was such a relief for me to, you know, work with actors that I could answer, you know, because you got to look like, pretend you know what's going on. And you're like, I have no idea what they're saying. You know, they didn't even tell me. And you'd say, well, can you tell me what the scene is about, what they're saying? And they think you're nuts, you know. Why? You know, just stand there and move your mouth. So it's funny. And even when they dub it, you don't use your own voice. And it's funny because when you're shooting in Hong Kong, it's all done with no sound. So everybody, even if you're like really angry and you're doing the scene, they whisper, you know. And then when I had the scene, I had to be angry and I was loud. And everybody's like, whoa, where is that coming from? What are you talking so loud for? You know. And I said, well, how come you don't dub your own voice? Because they speak Chinese. They said, why? You know, whoever does the voice has a better voice than I do. Yeah. So it's like, it's funny. I learned a lot there. Yes.
If, per se, you were handed an unlimited budget, what kind of film would you like to make? Who would you like to co-star in it? Who would you like to direct it?
Who would I like to co-star with, and who would I like to direct it?
Yeah, what kind of film would you like to make?
Oh, what
kind of choice?
Well, I like action, of course. It would have to be some action-related picture. One of my favorite directors is Tim Burton. I like a lot of the things he's done, so I'd like to work with him. And actor, you were talking martial arts or just?
Your favorite actor?
My favorite actor is Kenneth Branagh. And a funny story. When I first saw Kenneth Branagh, it was in Henry V, and he directed it, and I was just so impressed. He acted, directed, and he rewrote it. It was the Shakespeare picture. So I said to a producer, we were going to do a movie. I said, well, there's this guy out of England. His name is Kenneth Branagh. Maybe we could get him to direct this picture. I said, you know, this low-budget picture, under $1 million. I said, you know, he's from England. I've never heard of him. Maybe he'll want an opportunity to shoot in America. And then the next day, he was nominated for Best Actor from Henry V. I said, oh, forget it. Yes.
What would you say is the toughest stunt you ever had to do? Was there anything you were really, really, you know, nervous or scared to do? Or
yeah, many. One that comes to mind is I had, it was a movie called Lady Reporter. And each time, I did 7 Hong Kong films, each time they wanted to top the stunt. Now, I had a martial art background, I never had a stunt background, and it didn't seem to matter. Plus that I was a woman, that didn't matter either. The stunt I had to do is I had to jump from a 30-foot building with a fake baby in my hand with heels on, and I had a skirt on, so I couldn't put any pads on, and there was an explosion behind me. So they said, well, when we say action, you have to jump. You can't get scared because otherwise the flames are going to hit you. And when I was, and this was like my third movie. So, you know, I was crazy. I'd say, I'll try anything, okay, you know, not that I wasn't nervous. And so I looked up at the building. They said, can you jump from there? And I said, okay. You know, it didn't look so bad. Then I got up there and went, ooh, you know, it looked different from that perspective. And nobody showed me how to fall. And when you're in Hong Kong, it's not like here in America where if you're going to do a high fall, you have bags, you know, airbags that you could jump on, and it's perfectly safe. Well, this was just mattresses and boxes on top of it. So he says, action, I jump. I have no idea how I'm landing, got this, you know, fake baby in my hand. So I landed on my butt, and then my knee came up and hit me in the head. I thought I knocked myself out, and I was like, oh my God. The director says, oh, we have to do that again. Sorry, there was something wrong with the camera. So now I know what it's like to do this, and I'm petrified. I'm standing up there, my heart's like going like this. You know, it's like one of those cartoons, you could actually see it. And he said, we have to do it again, so I did it. The same thing happened, not so bad, but then right after that, if you've seen the movie, it's like in slow motion, right? So they have me jump into the boxes, and then they set up this little ledge where I jumped 10 feet. And so what they wanted to do is they wanted to get it in slow motion, cut it to where I jumped the 10 feet, so it looks like I jumped from 30 feet to the ground. Well, I had heels on, so if I just went like this, it wasn't any good. It was I couldn't make a wobble. And at that time, I was dating the director, so he was really hard on me. He was like, no, you made a mistake. You got to do it again. It was like, that movie was one of the toughest shoots I've ever done. But what happened then, I went home, and I was cooking something, and I felt like I was going to pass out. So they sent me to the doctor, and the doctor said, this is what the doctor told me. He says, you jumbled up every internal organ you have. And I was like, oh, that sounds great. But then I was fine. But that was tough. And then I went to bed that night, and I had nightmares that they were going to burn, someone was going to steal the film, it was going to get burned, I'd have to do that again, you know, and it was like, when they finally said, no, it's okay and it's safe, I was like, oh, thank God. So that was probably one of the toughest ones.
Did you ever turn down a stunt, or you can't do that?
No, I never did. You probably could do it, but I would, like, I never turned it down. I said I'd try. I'm trying to think if I ever tried one and couldn't do it. I don't think so. I think there's, in the scene, Yes, Madam, I did, the very first scene I shot, it was my first movie, my first scene. It started at midnight. I never stayed up 24 hours in my life, right? I just got in, I had one day rest, and then we were shooting that night. And so at 4 o'clock in the morning, I was kind of like, whoa. You know, someone gave me a piece of ginger. They said, here, try this candy. I was like, oh, okay. Then I turned green. I was sick, right? And then they said, okay, we got to do the scene. I had to jump off the wall and kick someone. And it took probably about 2 hours of practice before I finally got it. And I thought it was going to look horrible. And then when I saw the movie, I said, oh, wow, that looked pretty good. So.
What is the next exciting project you have on the horizon? And whatever happened to the project with you and Sylvester Stallone?
Oh, well, that project never went. It was supposed to be, I forget even what the movie was called. That was like back in the late 80s. It was a Mac Bolan film. And we were going to do it, and I don't know, William Friedkin was going to direct it, and something, they had a falling out, Stallone and Friedkin, so he wasn't going to direct it, and then they had script problems, and then he said, well, let's do it. Like, we'll have 18 months to do it, and then it just fell, which is kind of typical. You know, you have a project doesn't mean it's necessarily going to go, even if you have your contract signed, because my contract was signed. So, you know.
What's the next exciting project you got coming up?
I just did an interactive video game, which was kind of fun for me to do. It's called Untouchable 2. Will be out next year, and it's going to be in 3D. And what they do is they film it, so you're actually, it looks like you, but then people can control you, you know, with a joystick fighting against other characters. So I thought that's kind of cool to do that.
What about film projects?
Film projects. Right now, they're trying to get a movie of the week together. So that's probably what's the closest on the horizon. Right?
They ever approached you to guest star martial law?
No, I never have.
Have they ever approached you to?
Oh, no, they haven't. They haven't. They should, but they haven't.
Talk to Kelly, who?
Yeah, well, she probably doesn't have that much control on that aspect. Yes.
Two things. How was it working with Karen Shepherd, and the scene that you did with Simon? I think it was Millionaire Express, where you like kicked him in the chest and so on. I mean, did you actually kick him that hard for him to fall upside the counter like that?
Okay, first question. Karen Shepherd's great. She's one of my best friends, and we're actually trying to get a project together with the two of us. And with Samo, yes, you have to, in Hong Kong, you have to kick that hard. You have to hit that hard. I don't know why. In America, you don't. When I came back to America, and I was hitting the people, they were going, ow, ow, don't have my, but Cynthia, she hits too hard. And I'm like, oh, I just came back from Hong Kong, because they say more power, even though you're you know, hitting really hard. But it's funny, that one scene where I kick him, he had a double.
Oh, he did?
And yeah, he had a double. And I do a jumping kick, and he falls back into the thing. No, I did a spinning wheel kick. Well, what happened is Samo was not having a happy day that day. I heard he lost like a big amount of money gambling, so everybody was kind of like afraid to do a mistake because he was not happy. And I was doing this kick, and the stuntman kept coming in really close to me, and I was going to hit him, so I kept kicking higher. And Samo started getting mad at me, and this is like my second movie, so I was like nervous, you know, and I didn't want to hit the guy, and he's like, and I'm going, what's the guy? Well, hit him, he's going, and I'm like, okay. So I told the guy here. So after about 5 times of Samo yelling at me for kicking too high, I said to the guy, I said, okay, look, I did the kick really slow. It was a spinning kick. And I said, this is where my foot is going to be. If your head comes in, you're going to get hit. I kicked, he came in, I hit him in the head, he goes against the counter, Samuel's going, great, got it. The guy has blood coming down his face, right? I'm like freaked out, right? And Samuel's going, no, that was great. So another guy comes up to me and says, and I was like petrified, like, oh my God, right? And everybody's clapping, saying, no, that was great. The guy goes to me, well, don't worry about it, because that's the guy that, in Yes, Madam, hit you in the nose with the sword. So, didn't make me feel any better, but, yeah.
And also, like, how was it, you were working with, Michelle Khan?
Oh, she was, yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was fun working with her.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And if you might ask, like, what is your ranks now? I mean, like, far as, like, you know, when you used to train and so forth.
I have 5 black belts. Tung Sudo was my first style. I have a 2nd degree in that. I have 4th degree in Taekwondo. And then I've done Kung Fu styles, which is just kind of got to master level. We don't have degrees. And I would say I stopped going for rank after a while, because then it wasn't so much on what you knew. It was kind of like, it was political, you know, and then it was like, oh, well, you want to pay $600 or, you know, $1,000 for your next rank, you know, and it was just silly. It was like, you know, you don't have to prove to anybody what rank you are. You're good or you're not, you know, so. Yes?
What was your favorite movie that you made in China?
My favorite one, Lady Reporter, and I think it was also called The Blonde Fury. Yes?
How was it working with Yun Biao in writing roles?
Oh, you know what? Of all of the Chinese movies, my favorite was working with Yun Biao. And I think because our timing was really good, we could work together. And sometimes, like, your timing might be a little faster, might be a little slower than the other person, and then the scene just doesn't work, and you have to keep doing it over and over. Well, our timing was perfect, and it was just so smooth that, you know, nobody got hurt. And I think he's truly phenomenal, and I wish he could get something going here, because to me, he was the most skilled person in Hong Kong. Yes? I was a little girl, and I did a lot of things. I did a lot of sports, I did music lessons, I did dance, and then here comes my girlfriend. Her parents were doing karate, and I said, oh, I like that uniform. I'd like to wear one of those. So basically, you know, I had no idea really what martial arts was about. I didn't really understand what the real purpose was. So to me, it was just, you know, wearing a cool uniform and trying it. And then after a while, I started getting good, and I really started getting into it. And I went from being a student to being a teacher. I opened up my own schools, and then it went into you know, doing movies. And currently, I'm thinking of opening up a school next year in California, because that's something I really miss doing, is teaching. So that's kind of an idea for the future. Yes. Any other questions? Yes.
I'm just interested, I think there was a major Hong Kong film where you died in the Chinese version and then lived and triumphed in the one released in the States. And I'm just wondering if they told you why they were filming 2, and is there a sort of a difference in the way Hong Kong audiences and American audiences receive you that required those different endings?
No, I'll tell you the reason for that. We shot it, and it was the first time in Hong Kong where all the leads get killed. Everybody gets killed in it. I get killed, Yun Biao gets killed in it. Well, what happened is it aired in Hong Kong, and everybody hated the movie. in the Philippines. They didn't want to see it because they thought I was really dead. You know, they said, no, we don't want to see her dead. So they called me back after a couple months. You might even notice the ending. If you look at both, my hair is a little bit different in both scenes. And then we lived. And then everybody loved it, and then they made a lot of money on it. So that's why they did it. You know, the people said, we don't want to see the heroes die. You know, so they said, okay, well, we shoot it.
Oh, if you don't mind me asking, what movie was that?
That was Righting Wrongs.
Oh, that?
Right, and it was also called Above the Law, because originally I get stabbed in the throat with some kind of spear, and it was really funny. I send a picture to my mom, right, just to say, hey, you want to see what I look like dead? I go home, and it's on the front page of the Scranton Times, you know, and it's like, oh no, I didn't give you that picture to show everybody, you know, because I have this like spike in my throat and there's blood coming down on like this. Yeah, and then Yun Bu, from the airplane, he actually dies, you know, he lands and he dies. So then they redo the ending where I come in the boat and I save him, you know, out of the water.
What's the hardest that you ever been hit while doing a film?
Ooh, boy, many. Let me think. The hardest was probably in Yes, Madam. I was fighting Dick Way. And he had to do this move where we were close to the wall, and I ducked, and he kicked, his foot touches the wall, and then he comes back and kicks me. Well, you know, it was my first movie, and they tried to say a little bit of English, you know, so that made me feel at home. So the guy hits Dick Way, kicks the wall, his foot isn't good, so the director goes, cut. So I hear cut, it's like, oh, okay, stop. Boom, he kicks me. He didn't understand what cut was. It was like to him, he didn't know. He kicked me so hard in the jaw, it split my internal ear open, and I had blood coming out of my ear. And I thought I was going to die because I always knew, oh, when you die, blood comes out of your ear. We've seen that in movies. So they took me to the doctors, and they looked at it, and they said, well, it's so deep inside, we can't stitch it, so you just have to, you know, let it go. So I go back to the set, blood is still coming out of my ears, and I'm petrified. We got to do that kick again. Now I was afraid to kick under Dick Way's legs. And they said, oh, no, we have about like 20 good ones. Yes?
I was wondering if there's any hope in the future of you playing maybe a superhero. I'm thinking with all the onslaught of all these comic book superhero movies that are coming out, is there any chance that we'll see you donning some cape and costume and doing some? I mean, considering your experience with stunts and especially with that genre coming up with John Woo getting famous, Jackie Chan doing his stuff. Is there any chance we'll see you do something spectacular?
I'm hoping so. You know what? It's kind of funny. I've done this all by myself. I've never had anybody help me. Like I didn't have an uncle or my best friend, you know, wasn't, you know, in the movie. So I'm kind of on my own. I never really went out and pushed myself. I kind of said, okay, you know, this is cool. Yeah, I'll do this. So I don't really have anybody powerful in my corner. So it's kind of hard for me. Like you know, Karen and I were saying it would be so great for us to do a series, you know, together. It'd be great. And it's just getting, you know, someone that's powerful enough. Like it's Sammo was lucky because Terrence Chang, who was also working with John Woo, said to CBS, let's use Sammo Hung. You know, and they said, oh, okay, Terrence. You know, so you need someone kind of behind you that could do that, you know. And it's like people say, how come you're not in a big movie or this and that? It's like, well, I'd love to be. It's not me, you know. It's like just, you know, I don't know. I don't understand what it is, you know.
There's a comic book, I don't know, it's got a little cult following called Whisper, and it's from Asia, and it's actually of a female ninja who the mafia, the Yakuza, kills her family, and she comes back and avenges them, but she has like kind of a Spider-Man outfit, black, you know. That would be perfect. If I had the money, I'd talk.
Yeah, see, I mean, everybody that wants to do things with me is like, if I had the money, you know, I need the people that say, I have the money to do this project, and, you know, and then they'll make lots of money. Yes?
Why don't you get a hold of Renaissance Pictures and you did that excellent bit on Hercules for and say, hey, remember me? Did it?
Yeah, I know. I mean, well, Karen and I both, you know, they loved it. That episode was one of the highest viewers watching the episode, and, you know, we approached, you know, the producer, you know, who's now married to Lucy, and you know, wanted to do something, but you know, he's already got Lucy. You know, who knows what's going on? Like, you know, oh no, we don't want another female. You know, even though it'll make money. You know, there's so many politics and a lot of things that you don't even know. Like I was up for a big movie, and the director called me and said, oh, you got to come. I was shooting in Indonesia. Oh, you have to come back, you have to come back. And then they never even met me when I canceled my vacation to come back, right? And then I found out, well, the lead actor wanted his girlfriend in, you know, so it's like, it's you know, it's tough, you know, and I think I just need that chance to do that big thing, and then if it makes a lot of money, then, you know, everybody will be knocking on your door.
We all need to email Renaissance and say, hey, you Cynthia.
That might help.
Cynthia, I read your articles. You're a very good writer in the Inside Kung Fu columns that you've written. Why wouldn't you not write a project yourself?
Oh, well, I don't consider myself a good writer. When I was going to do Inside Kung Fu, they said, would you do this article for us every 2 months? And I said, yeah. And they said, don't worry, we will we'll rewrite it and make it look good. To this day, they never changed one word. So I don't feel like I could write a script. I could give someone an idea, but that's I'm trying right now to write a book, and I've recently had a baby, so yeah, she's 4.5 months, and I thought I'm going to write this book the whole time. I was pregnant because I said we're not going to be doing martial art movies. Okay, this is when I'm going to do my book. I have like 15 pages of it done. So, not a writer.
Most people say once they write, the characters begin to write themselves. You should try it.
Yeah, well, this wasn't that hard because I was the character. I knew what I was writing. It was about my life, It's still, it was like getting in front of the computer and just, staying there and do it. Like I like to get on the computer, but after about 10 minutes, it's like, okay, I got to do something else now.
Have you ever seen any of John Woo's pictures? And also, what do you think of John Woo?
Oh, I love John Woo. I think his work is great. I've always, even when I was in Hong Kong, he was doing, the Better Tomorrows with Chow Yun-fat, and it was like, this, actually when I saw A Better Tomorrow, which was in the 80s, I said, this could be made into an American movie, this guy, could direct, but unfortunately I've never met John Woo, so see if I worked with him, then I might have had a better chance, to work with him here. Yes.
Your favorite American-made movie and thoughts of working with Gracie Nolan?
My favorite American, you mean martial art?
Of yours.
Of my favorite movie of mine?
That you've been.
That I've been in. I would say probably Sworn to Justice, which hasn't received an American release yet. It's just been out foreign. That was my favorite because I brought in a choreographer from Hong Kong. I had some really good actors, probably the best I've ever worked with in my films. And the script was good, and it actually gave me, I played a psychiatrist, and I was on the stand as a witness, so I've had a lot of studying to do for the part, so that was good. It wasn't just get out there and fight. And Richard Norton is my best friend, one of my best friends, and we've done, I think, 7 or 8 films together, and I'm sure we'll probably do something again, yeah, in the future.
Great chemistry.
Yeah, I think too, because we're such good friends. Our first movie we did was Sammo's movie, Millionaire's Express, and we just stayed in touch and have been friends. And his wife is a good friend of mine, So, yes. Anything else?
You work with Mark Dacascos, experience with him, not in films. We know you haven't done any films with him, but
yeah.
Do you know him well?
I don't know him well. I know him. I know his dad. A little bit more. I just know him to say, hey, how you doing? Something like that. But I've heard some of his films are really good. He's really a good martial artist.
What's the best Bruce Lee story you ever heard? One that comes to mind.
The best Bruce Lee story?
Yeah, what story comes to mind?
Oh, well, a story that comes to mind, Bruce Lee. I was in Hong Kong, and one of the actors I was working with had this machine, and you squeeze it, and it gives you shocks. And electricity goes through your body, and it goes from 1 to 10. And he said that Bruce Lee used to do it at 10, and that he did it so much he got used to it, and he wanted higher and higher. And I said, okay. And they put it on a 2, and I couldn't believe it. I was like, ah, it hurt. It was like getting an electric shock. And so I don't know if that's true or not, but he said he used to go over 10. And this guy was doing it because he thought it was a way to get muscular without working out, and just through electricity.
So,
That was beautiful, Cynthia. Thank you.
So, how was it working with, what's his name, Wang Jiang Li? I guess he was the one that played the ninja in Millionaire's Express?
Right.
With the legs?
Right. He was also in
No Retreat, No Surrender.
Yeah, right. I know that one. I remember that one. That was good. I didn't know him before. But apparently, the producer of that movie, it was his instructor, and he said, that he was in a lot of, he used to be a big star, probably back in the 70s or something like that, 60s maybe.
What did you think of Prince of the Sun?
It was fun. I loved doing that because I was a character. I played a Tibetan monk, you know, and it was bizarre. The whole film was bizarre. I wore these robes, and we shot it in Nepal. And it's funny because when we were there, I don't know, you remember the movie? There's like 500 monks in one scene. They're all real. They're all, you know, and it's funny because over there, there's a lot of bad people that are monks. Because what happens is, if you go to and become a monk, you get room and board and you get all your food taken care of. So you get people that say, I'm going to be a monk just so I can get this taken care of. So there's this really strange character in this restaurant. And we were shooting and we stayed in our outfits, right? Because of course we didn't have a dressing room, you know, so we had to stay in our outfits. And this crazed monk wanted to beat up one of the lead actors because he had this like high robe on. You know, so it was like, they don't know who he doesn't know who he's dealing with here, all these Hong Kong stuntmen. So. Yes?
I noticed that in several Jackie Chan films that he does, like, you know, has outtakes afterwards on stunts that went wrong, and some of them look pretty funny. Can you think of a stunt that you did that maybe went wrong, it didn't seem funny at the time, but looking back on it was pretty funny?
Yeah, I was just, I don't know if they're in the room, I was telling someone about it, and that's why I remember it, because I was telling the story. It was in Magic Crystal. I did a jumping sidekick and I landed on a rock and twisted my knee. And I couldn't even walk, and I had to finish the whole movie because we were leaving the next day and they didn't want to stay another day in Greece. And I was doing a spear, I was fighting with a spear. And I had so much pain in my leg, I stabbed the guy in the groin. And his face, his eyes just bugged out. I mean, I didn't do it hard, like, you know, I did enough to hurt, but not like, you know, I didn't pierce them or anything. And then that wasn't funny, but afterwards, and everybody's laughing, we were like, oh, save the outtake, you know, for it. So, yes?
How did you get your start in the Hong Kong film industry?
I was living in California, and I was competing professionally. And I was on the West Coast demonstration team with Ernie Reyes. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Ernie Reyes. And he said, let's... there's a Hong Kong director in LA, and he's looking for a new Bruce Lee. They want a Bruce Lee. They wanted to look for a Caucasian guy, but they wanted to make him like a Bruce Lee. So since the whole team was going down, I went down, and they said, oh, well, Cynthia's there. Let her try out too, even though they're not looking for a girl. So I did some form, I did weapons, I did some self-defense, and they said, let's sign her up. So then all the guys on the team were like, oh, why'd you bring her? So that's how it got started. It was kind of almost like, you know, by accident. Yes?
A lot of actors and actresses over the years talk about practical jokes played on each other during filming. Any particular ones come to mind that were either done to you or to somebody else?
Oh, well, let's see, there's a lot with Richard Norton. I remember we were doing, we're like, you know, we're really, really, really close, and we were doing China O'Brien, and I had a stunt double there, and I was like just standing off to the side, and I saw him go up and grab the stunt guy's rear end, and the guy turns around, he went, ah, like that. So that was kind of funny. As far as jokes, no, just like funny things happen. Like we'd be on the set, and you know, and you get one of those things where you can't stop laughing. Well, we were again, I was doing China O'Brien, you know, and like a fly is on a guy's face, and it won't go off, and he's trying to do his lines, and like, you know, doing all this, and you're sitting there like going, like that, you know, things like that happen that were funny.
Who's the most skilled fighter you work with on screen?
You mean martial artist? I'd have to say Yun Bu. Okay, so I'll take 2 more questions. Yes?
Oh, what about, what's his name? I think you did a movie with him, this guy, he looks like Eddie Murphy, I think his name is Chuck...
Chuck Jeffries.
Yeah,
yeah.
Because I saw a movie with him, I think it was called Blood on the Moon, and the guy is really good. I mean...
Oh, Chuck is amazing. He's a phenomenal martial artist, and not only that, he sings, he dances, he writes. I mean, the guy is so talented. And I think the one problem that has hindered him, he looks like Eddie Murphy, and he kind of acts like him and talks like him a little bit, you know? So it kind of, you know, I think he doubles, like for Wesley Snipes now or something like that. But, I mean, the guy is just so good. And, yeah, I just talked to him recently, so he's doing a lot of stunt work. Last question. Oh, good. See, all right. Yes.
Now that the Brits are out of Hong Kong, has the film industry changed much?
Yeah, it has. I think, well, one reason is that the action genre over there has gone down. You know, the market where, you know, it's like a cycle. Like action movies are high, then they're low, comedies are high, then they're low, love stories, and it goes like that. Well, at that time when they took over, the action was down, wasn't like pulling in big bucks. And also a lot of the people, filmmakers, wanted to get out of Hong Kong and start filming in the States, you know, not knowing what, you know, the market was going to be like, or the industry. And so I think right now there's probably only like 1 or 2 studios still doing films. Okay, well, thank you all for coming. It was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.